Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Game Masters 911. I am your host, GeoQuester, and to my left is my lovely wife, the mistress of dorkness herself, Susie Q.
Good evening, my lovelies.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, let's make a quick convention announcement. This weekend is the President's Day weekend 5th edition convention run by Mr. Gwydion. He has compiled a total of, I believe, 5 different game masters. That'd be S02E, myself, Gwydion, Praetor's Rejects, and High Jumper. The 5 of us are running games all weekend long. If you'd like more information, please type !PDCon and get signed up for some games. I will let you know that right now, as it currently stands, as I look at these things, Praetor has 2 slots open for tomorrow night. I have 5 slots open for Saturday morning. Let's see, Praetor has 3 slots open for Saturday evening. I have 4 slots open on Sunday afternoon. High Jumper has 2 slots open for Sunday afternoon, evening as well. So there you go. We have quite a few slots that can be filled. So please, by all means, jump in to PDCon and go on over there. Be sure to use the Game Master's special passcode in order to get into the games. And please make sure to play with Game Masters you've never played with before. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. I am in one game on each of those days, and I'm wicked excited. I'm going to be playing with 2 game masters that I haven't played with before, Praetor's Rejects and High Jumper, and I'm wicked excited. Yeah, that's the word.
Yes, my dear, you are very, very exciting.
Okay, let's get into our questions tonight because we actually have some good ones. Okay, this is one that was posted to me last week, but I didn't get a chance to get to it. Okay. How do you buy encounters from chat?
Okay. Until March, the encounter ability is disabled. You cannot buy encounters until March. That's how you buy encounters in chat. Otherwise, there is, in my games, if I'm running specific games like, Iron Maidens, or any of the Wraithborn games, or the Delver Society games, there is a number of different modifiers that the chat can use to either help or hinder the players. I have a heal bot, which gives people back 2d8 plus 4 hit points, like an individual person. I have a group heal, which gives everybody back in the party a 2d8 plus 4. Or I have a rested, which gives everybody a long rest. So not only does it heal them fully, it also gives them back their spell slots or their daily use abilities or what have you. And we just added hasted to it as well, so you can haste a character for a round. And we have advantage, which is as if they had spent their inspiration point, and gives them advantage on all of their checks for a round. So those are the ones we currently have. And starting in March, when Wraithborn starts back up, we will be also having the encounter ability. And we may even throw in a trap as well.
Woot woot! Yeah, so all you little butt nuts out there, like the one that we won't mention that was screwing with us yesterday, will have opportunities to screw with us even more. Thanks.
Of course, gotta have a lot of people screwing with you.
Yeah, let's root for the DM to win.
Of course, we have to have the DM win. But keep in mind, you cannot use those abilities during some games that I'm playing in. For example, like the Ravenloft game, which is on Saturday nights. You can't utilize it then. nor can you utilize it during the Lair Assault games that we have, because they're already difficult enough. The players do not need additional stuff added to or subtracted from them.
Wah, wah. All right. For our next question, in the interview with Doug from Fantasy Grounds, he mentioned the use of tiles in building dungeons within the upcoming Unity engine. What do you envision the biggest challenges for those who like to battle map? And what skills do you think we should be honing in preparation for these tiles?
There's no real skills or anything involved. I've gotten to have a sneak peek behind the curtain, as it were, as to how these are supposed to be utilized. And it's basically going to be a blank table space that you can set up your grid on, and only thing you're gonna have to worry about is making sure that your battle map pieces are the correct size. So, for example, if you're putting out 50 pixel squares, that the squares that you have already on your maps, or the spacing that you're using for your maps, is already in that spacing. I took a look at the Unity. I took a look at some of the other stuff that is going to be incorporated that was already in the former program, and that's exactly how it was working.
Okay, for our next question, one of our viewers would like us to discuss spell preparation in Fantasy Grounds.
As in, how do we prepare spells in Fantasy Grounds?
I think so, and I think like how you would go about with the whole spell prep. What goes into spell preparation in Fantasy Grounds?
Okay, well, we'll start right with the basics of spell prep. Spell preparation for 5th edition, for most characters, I'm not going to say all characters, but for most spellcasting characters, be sure to reference your player's handbooks on your specific character. But for most characters, it's equal to your character level or class level. For example, a wizard or a cleric. It's your class level plus your ability modifier. So, for example, a cleric would use wisdom, a wizard would use intelligence. So, if you're playing a 3rd level cleric and you have a +3 modifier, you'd be able to prepare 6 spells. Preparation of spells just means in Fantasy Grounds, you go to the preparation mode, which is down in the lower left-hand corner of the Actions tab screen. There's a little mode box down there at the bottom that has 3 different things in it. One of them is combat, one of them is prep, and the other one is, I think, group. You go to the preparation mode, and you'll see little bubbles appear next to your spell names. You would just put a check mark into 6 of those spells. You could do them all as 1st level spells. You could do them all as 2nd level spells. It doesn't really matter. You still have a number of spell slots per 1st level and 2nd level and 3rd level, etc., that you're able to cast in a day, but you can memorize, you prepared these spells. Now, if you're playing a cleric, if you have a domain that has specific spells in it, we'll say like the life cleric has cure wounds, that is always prepared. You never have to worry about preparing that. It's always considered to be a prepared spell. So now when you go to cast spells, the only spells during a day that you can cast are those that are prepared. Unless you have a special ability, like there is a couple of new archetypes for wizards or for some of the other character classes that allows you to swap out a prepared spell for another spell that's already in your spell book or that you have availability to. So it's a in Fantasy Grounds, it's very, very simple just to hit the checkmark buttons.
Okay, now what about like cantrips and spells that are granted to you by your intelligence modifier or wisdom modifier?
Okay, well, cantrips are freebies and they don't require any sort of preparation whatsoever. They're all considered to be prepared at all times. And there is no bonuses granted to you in 5th edition, granted to you by any higher ability score.
Okay, but can you have an unlimited number of cantrips?
No, the number of cantrips that you're able to have is determined by your character class. Your character class tells you when you gain new cantrips, what cantrip lists you're able to utilize, and that kind of stuff. There are different options for your character, whether it is a racial trait or a feat ability or a special ability from your character class, like for example from like the warlock and the Pact of the Tome ability, where you're allowed to add, three more cantrips of any spell class or of any character class to your spell list. Those kinds of things. Yes, you have an unlimited number, as in you can cast an unlimited number of cantrips, but you do not have an unlimited number of ones that you can know. It's all determined by your character class and the options that you take for your character.
Uh-huh. Okay. I get it.
We recently got a question which we weren't able to put together before the show started because it was actually a pretty quick question I saw someplace else. Was about skills. As you gain levels, do you gain additional skills? Like you would, like for example, in third edition, where you gain skill points and you're able to purchase them throughout your history as you would gain levels. In fifth edition, there is no gaining of skills unless it is given to you by a feat or by a class feature. There is no gaining of skills unless you utilize your downtime to purchase new skills. By spending a certain amount of time and a certain amount of gold, you are able to purchase a new proficient skill. Be sure to double check with your game masters if they're utilizing those optional rules.
Okay. Now, GM or DM, what's the difference? And do you have a preference?
Yes, there is a difference between a GM and a DM. A DM is a dungeon master. They are specialized in Dungeons and Dragons. They only run Dungeons and Dragons and they know it and they run it very, very well. And DM is, it was coined when you started playing Dungeons and Dragons. It is the Dungeon Master. That is their title. Just like if you were to play Vampire the Masquerade, they're the storyteller, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's many, many different titles that they give people who run specific games in those games. A game master is a person who has experience in many different games, has run many different games, and runs them all to the same caliber. I call myself a GM. I don't call myself a DM. I'm not specialized in Dungeons and Dragons. I've played many different systems, I've run many different systems, and I have a mastery of many different systems. So therefore, I like to be called a game master over a dungeon master. That's what I prefer.
Okay.
That's because I'm an arrogant prick.
Yeah, we all know that, and that's okay. Okay, now how do you go about original original boss enemies for a campaign? Basically, how do you make sure the boss that you're giving to the players is tough but not an unbeatable fight?
Unbeatable fights are fun. I want to put that caveat in there first. Unbeatable fights are fun. And they have their place in role-playing games, which maybe in a future episode we'll talk about unbeatable bosses. But boss fights are just like any other encounter. You spend your experience points or you gauge your character's abilities versus what the boss, quote unquote, is going to have. You're telling a story. I mean, that is first and foremost, you're telling a story. And calling a boss fight in a tabletop game is making it very video gamey. You do not need to have boss fights. There is no such thing. There is the main villain, there is the sub-villain, there is all those kinds of things. But if you want to call them boss fights, we can. And To be honest, you just need to see what your players like and have a theme. Like, for example, if you're going to be running a volcanic dungeon, then the boss should reflect the abilities that the characters have seen all the way to this fight. Now, it could either be the big hit point sink kind of boss, where you can beat on this boss all day long and his hit points barely drop because he has way too many hit points, but he doesn't hit very hard or anything. He just lasts, he lasts for a while so he can mock you and taunt you throughout the battle. Those are the hit point sink type bosses. There is the glass cannon type of boss who hides behind minions. The minions may have high armor class but low health. He definitely has a low armor class, but he hits like a brick shithouse. Now, those kinds of bosses. There is your typical MMO style boss fight, which may have phases. You could have anywhere between 2 to 5 different phases where he may change forms. He may have additional minions come out during certain portions of the fight. He may have a sudden healing buff. There's a lot of different things that could happen. Be sure to watch things like, the Rift game or World of Warcraft style games or something. Watch boss fights like those and then, translate those to your own games. But my favorite boss fights are actually not really so much a boss fight in and of itself, as in like there's a singular individual that you're fighting, but they are reflective of the theme that you're going for in that specific leg of the adventure, where the room is an environmental challenge to the players that they've been leading up to. There could be traps, there could be pitfalls, there could be different levels of fighting, as in like physical levels. Like, this is like 10 foot higher than this, and this one is undercover, and this is in a cave over here with stalagmites and stuff like that. Or there's multiple mini minions where you have very low hit point, very low armor class type of creatures, like we'll say goblins. If you're playing a 10th level game, goblins are pretty much, the lawnmower man kind of thing. But they throw in a speed bump, which the players have to overcome in order to get to that final boss. There could be magical shielding in the way. There could be all sorts of different things. But once again, all of those types of things, you've got to reflect your players' abilities, give them each an opportunity to shine, and show them that, okay, so there's a trap that needs to be undone in order to get across this bridge. There is certain types of movement that need to happen in order to get into the perfect positions to pin the NPC down behind cover so he can't get to your fighters who are trying to cross that bridge. And then your fighters get up front and get up close and personal and face to face, and they can attack him, and that allows the rest of the party to move. And it's all tactical and thematic. The fights that people remember are the ones where they win by the skin of their teeth or they lose by the skin of their teeth. That boss that sees those fighters running across the bridge and realizes, oh shit, all my minions are dead, and then cheeses out the back door that's a secret door or a trap door in the back behind the throne. Those players are going to be like, damn that boss, I need to find him.
See, now I've always wanted to play like a Mortal Kombat kind of style of D&D game. I think that would be so freaking cool.
Oh, the arena style?
Yeah. I think that would be so freaking cool.
As I've said before, the arena style combats are fine if you're able to pull them off properly. You don't want it to end up being like a player versus player, so not a PvP kind of aspect, but a PvE style aspect where it's a group versus something. You can do that kind of thing. It's called wave enemies, where you have waves of enemies, which would be different rounds of the arena battle, so to speak, in order to get out of the arena. That kind of stuff can happen because, once again, the player character classes and races are balanced in part to work together against a specific group. They're not meant to fight each other. So the rogue and the fighter going toe to toe is a bad idea. You don't ever want that to really happen. You don't want to have that inter-party fighting kind of style with that PvP style because the character classes are not balanced against each other. They are balanced against the environment, but they're not balanced against each other.
Well, I mean, it's just I always wanted to have like that whole Prince Gordo and it, just that kind of arena battle. I think that would be. I've never been in one. I've never had the opportunity to partake in one. Delvers comes close, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. But I think that would be just such a cool idea.
It would be. It would be. And I see a Delver in the future having something like an arena style fight where it's the PCs are, the slaves attempting to get themselves out. That gladiatorial arena kind of thing where they have a certain amount of time before the guards along the sides just shoot them and kill them. You know, I see something like that happening in a Delver future.
I just want to hear your soul is mine.
Yeah, he just likes Shang Tsung.
Who doesn't? Okay, let's move on now. Okay. Have you ever had a GM who did the dice rolling? All of the dice rolling. And what was your stance on it?
I did. I played for half of a game session. When we called break, I left. That should tell you my stance on it. Now, I have no issue. I have no issue with my game master rolling some things for me that my character may or may not be aware of. Like, for example, a perception check or a bluff check or an insight check or any of the rest of those kinds of things where it's an interaction type thing, and me knowing the outcome of my die roll would be detrimental to how the story is played. I can understand my game master doing those rolls for me, but part of the fun of gaming is, I have to say, it is rolling those dice. It is having that moment where your heart skips a beat as you watch that 2 roll over to become a 16 or that 16 roll over to be a 2. That is part of it. That's part of the drama of gaming, is allowing you to feel that tactile sensation of rolling dice. Yes, in virtual tabletop you don't really get that, but at the same time you do get to throw your own dice, and you get to have that fun time of watching those dice bounce around for a second to go, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? What am I going to get? It's that anticipation, even if it is only a few seconds long. But having a game master who rolls all those things, that's literally taking all the control out of the player's hands and putting it into the game master's hands. I do not believe that the game master should have that much control. After all, the game master is there to be your ally, to help you through your adventure. He is not your enemy, and he is not the one who is controlling you.
Yeah, I think you have to be a pretty neurotic games master or dungeon master to want to roll all of your players' roles for them. That kind of, I mean, if you want to do that, just pick up a choose your own adventure book and go have yourself some fun.
Exactly, because that's exactly what it boils down to, is you're doing a choose your own adventure style game.
Pretty much. I mean, if I wanted to play, like I said, if I wanted to play in a game like that, I'm just going to go pick up a choose your own adventure book and I'm going to sit down and have myself a nice quiet Saturday night. All right. Now, to tower roll or not to tower roll? That is the question.
Well, hold on. Let me answer a question that just popped up. Okay. GeoQuester doesn't play many video games, so most of what he talks about is tabletop games. I play more than my fair share of video games. I take inspiration from a lot of video games, like, for example, World of Warcraft. I am a main tank in World of Warcraft. I'm a raider. I have been a raider since vanilla. I've been playing for, 12 years now. And I do a lot of video games. A lot of video games. And I love them because they have a great story to tell, and I hate them because they've ruined tabletop play. I keep the two of them separate. So I do talk in this show. I talk about tabletop games, but there is ways of linking video games and tabletop games together. We'll talk about that later, though. So, okay, what was the question again?
To tower roll or not to tower roll, as I hold a mimicky skull in my hand.
Well, to be honest, I don't have an issue with tower rolling. I think it's absolutely fine. If you're using a virtual tabletop, doing the secret rolls where only the game master knows what your outcome is, I have, once again, done that in many of my games. I like doing that in my games, especially if the metagame aspect of it would influence how the player plays the game, whether they know that the guy who they're talking to is lying to them or not. The whether they know if their stealth roll was high enough. Those kinds of things. That whether you are a fantastic role player or not, knowing that your dice rolled a 2 and you know that you didn't beat a DC of 10 affects how you play your game, no matter what you are doing.
Our son just brought up a very good point. Our son likes to use tower rolling because his players figured out the AC of all of his encounters before he started using the towers.
Yep, yep. There are times where, I mean, honestly, if you want to hide all of the rolls, using a tower is actually a fantastic way of doing it. I have seen game masters, and I've actually sat at tables with game masters who had dice towers for every single player around the table, and every single roll was done on a dice tower. You had no idea what you rolled. You rolled your own dice, and I'll tell you, in espionage games, that actually works really, really well. But at the same time, as a player, you kind of want to have that closure, that idea that, oh, look at this fantastic roll. You want to have that excitement to be able to say, oh, look, I really want to play. I really love the fact that I got that 20 on that die, or oh shit, look, I got a 1. That is fantastic. I love seeing those things.
Okay, now this question just popped up. Do you think that Wizards of the Coast should make a Dungeons and Dragons Junior Edition to help younger players get into tabletop gaming?
Actually, there is a junior edition. They released it. Oh God, it had to have been a year ago. Wizards of the Coast have uh, a play with your kids version. I cannot remember what it is off the top of my head, but yes, they do have a kids version where it's a very basic version. Matter of fact, you could actually use the starter set from D&D as a great way to introduce kids to it. And at Cobalt Con, they have a number of online seminars that will have things like getting your kids into gaming or the psychological effects of gaming. And by the way, yes, the Rift comment was Rift the video game, not Rifts the tabletop game that I had made.
Yep. Nope. Okay. Now, how do you motivate your players? I have a group of players that murder hobo everything. Even when I set up a social encounter that they need to interact with the NPC to get information they need, they just kill him and take it.
Okay, so PC, not PC motivation, player motivation. Um, that goes down. That boils down to like we've talked about for the last 2 seasons of the show. In the players play the game. The game master plays the players. It's a psychological effect. You need to learn what your individual players respond to, and you need to tailor your game to suit their wants and needs. The more often that you cater to their wants and needs in your game, the more often they're willing to step away from their wants and needs for the story's purpose. So if there is lots and lots of combat in your game because that's what these guys like, they're murder hobos, they love to go out and they just love to slaughter everything in sight, that's fine. Give them plenty of combat and, sate that bloodlust that they have. Then you can throw in a social encounter during their downtime that they're like, okay, I can sit back. We had four combat encounters already tonight. I can sit back because this guy's got information that's going to lead me to more and possibly even better items. The next thing is never, ever, ever have an NPC appear on screen that you're not willing to lose. Players do the most random and damnedest things. Sometimes they love your NPCs, sometimes they hate them. Uh-oh, something happened. Give me a second here. Alrighty. So, alright. Everybody do me a favor. If you can hear me, can you go ahead and type something in chat? Alright. So you can hear me just fine. Alright, that works. I think Susie's mic just bit on her. Alright, so Susie Q's mic just blew out. Yep, so, alright, so Susie Q is going to come over here and she is going to speak into my microphone. No euphemisms, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, yeah, she's got all the questions. I don't have the questions in front of me. She has all the questions. One moment, please, while we experience technical difficulties. Do.
Any New Year's GM resolutions? What to do, what not to do, stuff like that for 2017?
Considering that we are now in the middle of February, almost at the end of February, it's a little late to ask that question. Do I have any New Year's resolutions as a GM? No. Do I have any New Year's resolutions as a streamer or as a designer? Yes. But we're not going to talk about those. Those are all secret.
Okay, I think I got things back running again.
Yay, she's back now.
Okay. What is game flow and pacing?
Game flow and pacing is... Game flow is knowing that you have a 4-hour game session and making sure that the players are able to pay attention throughout that 4 hours. All the players. Pacing is knowing that your game session is always going to start on a low note and you want to try to end it on a high note or a cliffhanger. Knowing that in that 4-hour period of time that your specific set of players will be able to do 3 combat encounters and 1 role-playing encounter, and you plan for that. It goes right back to being prepared for everything. You know how many encounters you want to have. You understand how many counters you want to have, and that's what you're trying to aim for. Is you try to aim that you have everything planned out. It may look absolutely random to your players, but the pacing keeps the action going. It doesn't have to necessarily be combat action or skill actions. It could be role playing action. It could be exposition. It could be exploration. It could be any of those kinds of things. You need to keep that pace going. If there's a stall point in there somewhere, that's where you're going to end up getting screwed over. And your players will not enjoy your game if you have stall points.
Okay. Objects only have an AC of 10.
Why don't you say where this comment comes from?
This was actually commented on one of our videos that objects only have an AC of 10 and they're not going to, that doesn't change and they're not going to move out of the way.
Okay.
Seriously?
Well, it wasn't so much that they're not going to change or get out of the way. It's the fact that they say all objects have an AC of 10, which is not correct. Technically, quote unquote, everything has an AC of 10, which means that if you roll less than a 10, you missed it entirely. You whiffed. The greater than 10 armor class in 5th edition for an object is referring to its hardness. It's not whether or not you hit it, it's whether or not you're dealing damage. So, for example, I think it was a stone door is actually what they were talking about in one of the YouTube videos. Which, by the way, after I made the comment earlier today that I will answer, this comment at Game Masters 911 tonight, those comments disappeared on the YouTube video, which was really unusual. It was one of the Delver Society ones. It was the Tower of Jareem, which was, I think, the first time I ran a first level game for Delvers. The door that they were talking about had an AC of 18 because it was a stone door. It's made of stone. So hitting it with anything, it does not necessarily make it, fall down. It doesn't do damage to it. It just means you didn't breach its hardness to give it damage. That's all the AC means when it comes to an object.
Okay. Now, firebolt catches things on fire that aren't attended or held. This was another video comment, just so you know.
And which, once again, is technically true if you beat the object's hardness with the damage from fire. So, for example, if a piece of, I'll use leather. Leather has an AC of 8 as far as being an attended or unattended object. If it's unattended and you deal more than 8 points of fire damage to it, then you can, if it fails a quote-unquote Constitution saving throw, it can catch on fire. Same thing with paper. Paper will catch on fire if you beat, I believe it's 3 or 5, somewhere in there. 3 to 5 points of damage in fire damage will catch a piece of paper on fire. So, yes, firebolt could catch things on fire. Now, the next thing is, it has to be flammable. It has to be a flammable object. You're not going to catch stone on fire. I mean,
Nope,
I will add a little bit of realism to everything. You're not going to catch stone on fire unless you're using hellfire, like a Balor is, doing some sort of thing to it, or a red dragon comes up and breathes on it. You're not going to catch it on fire, and even then, you're just going to melt it. You're going to turn it to magma.
Okay, now following up on that question, is there no traditional hardness rules in 5e, like damage resistance or anything like that for these objects?
You can apply specific damage resistances to it, yes. For example, I'll use the stone door. Stone door, you could put resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And so therefore it only takes half damage. They have, 25, 35 hit points. I mean, not a lot of hit points. They have an AC of 18. That would make it a sufficiently difficult door in order for your characters to break down. I see no issue in doing that. I don't use the idea of resistance on the doors because I already think that my players are already having a BS enough time hacking through a door because they decide they want to, not pick the lock, or that peeing on it did not open it. So therefore, I don't add the resistance to it. But yes, you could use it. There is no actual hardness factor in 5th edition like there was in 3rd, or in Pathfinder. There is no more hardness, which would reduce the damage that was done to the object. There is no more hardness. So that's why they have armor class. That's why they have resistance. That's why they have all those other types of things.
I still hold fast that peeing on that door helped open it.
Sure.
Not going to change my mind. Okay, what kind of tools do I need to be a DM?
Okay, now I've gotten asked this question far more often than I actually expected. And in doing research for this question, it was actually kind of funny. There are basically 4 things you need. Number 1 thing, as far as tools. Now, I'm not talking about having extra players at your table. I'm not talking about having, the knowledge base to run a game. I'm not talking about those things. That's not a tool. We're talking about physical objects. The number 1 thing you're going to need is you're going to need your own DM's toolkit, or your own, they call it an adventure notebook or an adventure binder. You're going to need one of those. The next thing you're going to need, dice. Whether it is virtual dice for a virtual tabletop or it's physical dice, you need dice. The third thing you're going to need is you're going to need lots and lots of scratch paper. Carry around one of those itty bitty tiny little like wallet-sized notebooks with you wherever you go, or utilize your phone or a tablet or some other device where you're able to jot down notes no matter where you are. You're standing in line at the grocery store and you suddenly have an idea. Ideas strike you at all times. Be sure to write every single one of them down. Some of them may be absolutely stupid, like, hey, wouldn't it be great to have death cabbages? Well, that's where the Abyssal Maw came from, the creature from 3rd edition that, looks like a cabbage with arms. It's a death cabbage. And somebody was standing in a grocery store, looked at the cabbage, and go, wouldn't that be a cool, creature? So, yes, definitely do that. And the final thing you need is you need to have access to research materials. Lots and lots of research materials on all sorts of different subjects. You need to either have a computer that you're able to utilize Google or some other sort of search software, or you need to have access to a library.
I also think that you need to have an imagination. I mean, when you
I said tools. These are actual physical objects. These are not the metaphysical objects like imagination and players and all the rest of that stuff. We don't need those. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the actual physical tools.
Okay. Yeah, scratch pad is good. Dice are always good. DM binder, good. You should probably have basic rule sets.
Well, I mean, yes, you're going to have your rule sets and stuff, but that, once again, that falls into the game master knowledge or DM's knowledge. It falls into that realm where they need to understand the game that they're running. Does not necessarily mean you need to run it before or you need to be a master at it or anything like that, because everybody makes mistakes. You could be just that guy that says, sure, I'll run tonight because nobody else around the table wants to run. That could be you, and you could end up doing that for the next 35 years of your life, is just being the guy that runs.
We should also add into that toolkit no-dose and possibly caffeine along with Summonex.
Yes, yep. Those things work. Those things work too. Alternative substances to keep you awake or to put you to sleep definitely help. That definitely helps as well. Always, if you're a player and you come to the Game Master's house, part of the DM's toolkit is going to be snacks and drinks. Be sure to load up your Game Master with snacks and drinks.
Okay, now what exactly is an adventure binder, and do you have one?
Okay, an adventure binder is not what you would think it is. It's not a binder full of adventures. It is the game master's cheat sheet that he has picked up or she has picked up along their way to being a game master. It could be stuff like, for example, mine, so this will actually answer it for you. My adventure binder has things from second edition, basic, third edition, fourth edition, Pathfinder, um, storyteller systems. It's got stuff from GURPS. It's got stuff from, oh my lord, Alternity, Gamma World, you know, Top Secret SI. I've got tons of stuff that little bits and pieces. Like, for example, the Game Mastery Guide from Pathfinder is an amazing resource no matter what game system you're running. The Big Black Book of Kicking Ass from White Wolf, which is a storyteller system. Also, an amazing way to look at combat encounters and how to actually kind of punch them up and make them more deadly and to make them more entertaining and dramatic for your players. The in second edition there was some fantastic tables in there to build random dungeons and to create random creatures. Where basic edition had a lot of great geomorphic products out there that had just random tiles that you could just throw together to make an, like a huge mega dungeon with. So I've used a lot of these different things in my fifth edition games.
Okay, okay. Now, is having an adventure binder absolutely 100% necessary? Do you have to have it to be a GM?
No, you don't have to have one to be a GM, but you will end up having one. Whether you think you have one or you don't, if as a game master you ever look over at your bookshelf and go, I wonder, there you go. Your binder is that bookshelf you're looking at. Or if you're looking in your computer at your PDFs, that folder is your bookshelf. If you have specific books that you are always referencing for one thing or another, no matter what system it is, that's part of your binder, and you don't even realize that you have one. So everybody gets one.
Awesome. All right. Now, our viewers want to know what fantasy books have inspired you.
Before I started designing, I read a lot of R.A. Salvatore, a lot of Elaine Cunningham. Um, I read a lot of Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. So I think actually my very first fantasy book, like actual fantasy book that I read, was oh wow, it was one of the first Dragonlance novels by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Um, I started reading those before I even knew what D&D really was. I mean, I had played D&D, but I didn't realize that Dragonlance was a part of it. And I read those, and then I kind of put two and two together. I'm like, oh shit, look, this is the same stuff. Other things I've drawn from is mythology from all over the world. I started out with Greek and Roman mythology, and I moved on to Sumer. I moved on to Eastern philosophies. I moved on to Norse. The Americas. I've tried to keep myself as open-minded about different philosophies, different mythologies, and different religions as I possibly can, and I try to pull stories from those and put them into my games. As people notice, the types of games I run are very biblical horror type of games, um, where the angel is not always the good guy. The angel could come back to bite you. And so there's a lot of those kinds of things that I try to put in. I mean, like the Bible in and of itself, the Christian Bible is an amazing location to get ideas for stories from.
Sorry, I'm going to take a line right out of Supernatural on this one. Angels are dicks.
Yes, angels are dicks. But since I started designing, and Susie can attest to this, I don't do a lot of reading anymore. as far as fantasy books go. I mean, I read the Belgariad and the Malorian. I've read the Wheel of Time. I've read the Dragonbone Chair. I've read all those, but I haven't done a lot of actual novel reading since I started designing because I didn't want it to influence how I design my games.
Okay. There's another one, and I know you've read some of her stuff. Mercedes.
Mercedes Lackey.
Yes, thank you, Mercedes Lackey.
Yep, I've read Mercedes Lackey, and even for, and I'm ashamed to admit this. Before I ran some of the session zeros for Iron Maidens, I actually read one of my wife's romance novels, so I could actually kind of get into the same mindset as the women.
Oh, that's rich. That's awesome.
No, it wasn't. I felt dirty and I had to shower a lot. I had to scrub myself with a Brillo pad afterwards. Yes, I did it. I read, yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful. I love that. I'll have to remember that next time. Now I know what you're doing late at night. You're not out there watching TV. You're reading my dirty, dirty books.
No, I did not read 50 Shades of Grey. I tried to read 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm going to tell you now, I couldn't get past 3 pages. I was just like, I can't do this shit. This stuff is fucking terrible. I can't read this.
Don't worry, ladies. He has no clue. It's okay.
Yes, I did read Susie's girly stuff. Yes, I read her stuff.
That's
No, there was no
awesome.
fapping involved.
You guys are just wrong. Wrong, and that's okay. All right, well, that wraps up our show for tonight.
Hey, wait, let's see if anybody else has any more questions other than, what girly book I read.
Does anybody have any more questions?
Did we actually get through all the questions tonight?
We did, and with some extra ones thrown in there.
Okay, so before we go, I actually have to do a shout out. Because I trolled one of my friends earlier today.
And got yelled at for it.
Yes, and my wife has yelled at me for it multiple times. Matter of fact, she is still. I don't know what fucking book it was. It was just some fucking random ass romance novel. I don't know. Some dude, some girl, some horseback. I don't know. But anyway, so I trolled one of our friends and a streamer. He was streaming at the time and he was listening to some very angry vagina music. And I told him I would give him $10 if he made his camera bigger and if he danced for a minute. Not only did he do this, well, he didn't make his camera bigger, bastard. So I should just, be reneging on the deal right now just because you didn't make the camera bigger like I asked you to. But not only did he get up and dance and nearly kill himself doing so, but Rob Tui actually highlighted the video and has posted his video for everybody to see him dancing and shaking his moneymaker for $10. So I have to give him a shout out for that. He did it, and yes, indeed, the check is in the mail, Rob. Once Susie turns her blind eye and I'm able to put the check in the mail. The check is in the mail. I did promise that I would give you the money, so I will give you the money for it. Susie has a shit ton of those books around.
Yeah.
Now, okay, see. Lord Moldemort asked if I've shared my last 1 hour pre-made anywhere. I have not put it up on YouTube yet, but I will be putting it up on YouTube very, very soon, probably after this episode is done this evening. And also, once again, I would like to tell everybody about the President's Day convention this weekend. There is still slots available. There are 5 game masters who are running, and there are some games that are full, but there are many games that only have 1, maybe 2 or 3 players. Most of us will only run for a minimum table of 4. So please, by all means, jump in by typing exclamation point PDCon in chat, and it'll give you a link and all the passcodes. Or you can come to my Discord and type the same thing. And you will have a great time this weekend playing at a free 5th edition D&D convention hosted by Mr. Gwydion. Thank you very much for putting this together. It was a very last-minute thing, so we are learning a few things along our route. I would like to thank some of our new followers for being new followers. I would like to thank our patrons for being our patrons. Without you, we would not be able to do what we're doing. And I would also like to announce the fact that, yes, we do have some freebie stuff as giveaways next week. I'm giving away a standard license copy every month of Fantasy Grounds to one lucky recipient on the last Thursday of the month, every month, because we are sponsored by Smiteworks USA, who are the creators of Fantasy Grounds. They have given me 1 copy a month to be able to give away. So I would like to give it away next week during our show. We are also doing a contest right now to get to 250 followers. At the moment, we are at 205 or 206. And I would definitely want to make my 250 followers. So please be sure to tell your friends. If you have not yet followed, please be sure to follow. And when we hit 250 followers, I'll be handing out something really extra special. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure it out between now and then. Something that would be awesome for a 250 follower milestone. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, for myself and for Susie Q, I would like to thank you for coming by and visiting us today and listening to us rant and rave and scream and talk. And until next time, everybody have a good time.